I was very late to Final Fantasy series, but caught up with most pre-PlayStation 2 games very quickly during the early 2000s and loved most of them. Yet since the talking era of the series started, none of the games in the franchise really captured me, except for one that got pretty close about 10 years ago when I first played it. It was Final Fantasy XII. For all its amazing ideas, it had a lot of drawbacks and annoyances, and English voice acting in it wasn't exactly exciting either. So I was hoping the game will see some sort of HD re-release later. And that's where the Zodiac Age comes in. A much improved version of an already fun game that manages to remove most of the problems of the original and not break things too much along the way. Final Fantasy XII is the first game in the main series, at least the single-player ones, to move everything to real-time, removing the need for separate combat arenas, the random encounters concept, and cutting down on the animations that, by that point in the series, became quite obnoxiously long. And to help with that, in combat, the game introduces a simple yet fantastic idea of gambits. Simple if-then rules for your characters to follow automatically with no player input necessary. This gradually removes micromanagement from all but most tricky encounters, making this title very streamlined without making it boring and simple, switching the challenge from needing to think on every single action for the entire party to preparation and careful observation, and it's insanely fun to master. The newer Switch and Xbox ports also feature the choice of several Gambits profiles, which is a welcome addition that hopefully can get added to PC and PlayStation 4 versions later. Adding to that, the world of the game is just the right amount of fast open spaces and careful funneling into places of import and loading zones. Focusing on just one kingdom and bits around it, this time also makes the world far more believable in scale with this approach, while still giving you a lot of variety in places to visit and enemies to encounter. It also looks and sounds really well. The game looked good originally and looks amazing in the remaster, while the music here is perhaps one of my absolute top favorite Final Fantasy soundtracks. I actually forgot how catchy, unique and good it was after my original playthrough, but running through city streets now, I instantly found myself humming along with the tunes. Zodiac Age also incorporates a welcome change that was originally planned for the game, the return of the jobs system, which is the name of the classes in the series. Original title allowed every party member to become good at everything, which sounds good, but in my experience actually led to confusion, constant doubts about specializing certain people in certain things, and an overall annoying experience. In this version, with 2 classes available per character, not from the start though, you are less limited with the jobs and more focused, leading to far more enjoyable gameplay. Now, PC and PlayStation 4 versions don't allow respecking as of now, which unless you try to 100% the game won't be a problem. But it's also a thing that will hopefully be added via a patch, since it's already present in the newer port versions. But Zodiac Age Remaster also has a whole lot of tiny quality of life features that make the game so much more enjoyable. Autosaves for every loading screens being far quicker, ability to turbo gameplay via a button even from the gamepad unlike the remaster of X. The game sheds almost all of its little annoyances that it had as a PlayStation 2 title, and it's great whenever you follow the main story or especially if you're going for all the optional content. The story of the game, though, is uncharacteristically simplistic for a Final Fantasy. It's even avoiding the whole saving the world trope, instead focusing on kingdom and personal level stories, and sometimes generally borrowing from the original trilogy of Star Wars. English voice acting is still incredibly weak and still mixed in rather poorly, though this time you can easily switch to the superior Japanese voice acting at any point in the configuration menu. What can't be fixed is the over-reliance on the complete random chance. A lot of things, including spawning of special enemies and contents of most treasure chests, even some that contain one-of-a-kind items or skills, are luck-based. And some of this got worse in Zodiac Age, since skills and magic spells are almost exclusive to chests now. Remaster also rebalances some of the optional encounters questionably, making some enemies even more obnoxious, while not making some of the optional fights less tedious and frustrating. The loot and bazaar systems hasn't been fixed or rebalanced either, so those who want to 100% the game will have as much of a frustrating time as they had originally. And another sad omission is the lack of any quest logs for non-hunt based side content, since some of the quests can get long and involved, yet there are no indicators or reminders in-game about any of them, so you might just forget you were doing anything about reloading a save after a pause in play. Ultimately, however, I spent far more time with the game than I ever planned to, once again reinforcing my feeling that it's my favorite Final Fantasy since 9. It's streamlined yet deep, unconventional yet easy to get into, simple but charming. And this Zodiac Age remaster simply made its best parts shine even brighter.
フランって何歳？
失礼ですよ。ほんと子供なんだから。